Hello everybody. Sorry about the delay there. There's one of those I was out and I was just like, oh no, it was way later than I thought it was. And then getting back here and then getting everything in order and position and where it needs to be able to do this. It took me a hot second, but hopefully everybody, some of the usual folks can come and hang out and join us. Maybe some new folks. And everything. It's good to see everyone here. Just gonna keep rambling for a minute so we can let the algorithm go. I did remember to post this one on Instagram with a little link here, so it's pretty good today. Pretty good. Yeah. What's up? Sorry. I just want to make sure I put the right link in here because now I'm. It's like one of those where I'm like, yeah, it was right. Was it right? Okay, it's right. I can see it. All right. Oh, my gosh. How's it going? Hi, everyone. I did make my Instagram post. Yes. Ryno. Philadelphia in the house. Hello. Welcome. Trina from Boston. Good to see you. Trey, know you're from Atlanta. How's it going? Dee, joining us from Texas. Hello. See, I remember some things. Hope everybody is doing good. I know I haven't done one of these in like 2 weeks. I forget what happened last Monday. There was a reason why I couldn't do it last Monday. I think it was just exhaustion. Last Monday was it was Labor Day, and it was one of those where I was literally like I was forcing myself to not do any work at all. And then it got to this, and I forget what I ended up doing in the evening. But I was like, no, don't you do anything then either. So, so what was I going to say? So I ended up not doing this. I thought I was going to be able to do it a different day, but I ended up having to do a lot of stuff at night this last week, which was kind of crazy. But what is cool, it was Thursday night. I went out, I was like, okay, I ended up having to work late that night, but then when I finished, I got home around like 10:30, and so I took the dogs and walked them, and then I live kind of close to Universal Studios, the Orlando resort, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and pop in here and do a couple Halloween Horror Nights things, and I stepped into the park at 11:30, and I was able to do 8, and I could have even done 9 of the houses, and I even got a Slimer corn dog and my mini puffed Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I think I'm going to end up getting him every time. It's not going to be great for the waistline, but I enjoyed him, and it was good. And I didn't bring a camera. I didn't even bring a backpack. I mean, I brought my fanny pack. I'm not a monster. Obviously, I need my hand wipes and somewhere to hold my wallet and things like that. But it did end up of course, the time I didn't bring a backpack or anything like that. And of course, in Florida right now, it started raining. But it was light enough that it was still like, okay, I can still do this a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So I'm happy I did that. Normally I go really early in the night, but it's just like, it's been so hot, and the weather has been all over the place that anytime it's daylight, it's been raining basically. And now, it's nonstop. Like, I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party last night, and it rained, literally, it started raining at like exactly at 7. It was like 6:57 or something like that. And then it was raining the entire time until like midnight. I don't even know if it stopped at midnight or if it just kind of kept going. And then today it was basically like raining all day again. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm done with it. I'm sorry, I do see it in the chat here, and I saw a very sad day today. The legendary James Earl Jones has passed away at the age of 93. Good for him, 93. That's incredible. And I feel like he was still kicking and still doing stuff right up to the end there. I mean, the voice of generations, truly an iconic actor. And I believe he also had EGOT status, which is just, such a rare thing. Just such an incredible force, and just like a voice that that many sort of feel this way. I mean, I know a lot of people think of him as like the voice of Darth Vader, and that's the immediate thing that comes to pass. And of course, obviously, Darth Vader, like, is there a more iconic villain in cinema? You know what I mean? Or one of the more iconic characters in cinema, period. But I mean, The Lion King was one of my favorites growing up, but even then I was like, I recognize this voice. There's a lot of stuff, but for me, I also, I really love him in Field of Dreams. I don't know what it is. I watched that with my mom a bunch, and I watched that literally recently. I said to Craig, I watched it the other day, and he said, "Didn't you watch it on the airplane?" And I was like, "Wasn't that the other day?" And it's like, "That was a month ago." But I've watched that like more than once this year, which is crazy. And I just love just his presence in that movie. Just really makes that movie just so much more of like a kind of an American classic in terms of films and stuff. And it's so good. He is just going to be remembered for all these amazing parts he played. I mean, I always think there was commercials with him because he was like the voice of the Bell like phone company, right, or something like that, too. But yeah, long live the king. Truly. He was so good. Coming to America, yeah. Here's the thing. That man did not look 93 years old, too. Good for him. And it's one of those things, too. It just is like, he was a bigger guy, too. Like, stature, obviously a little bit of a bigger guy, but it was just one of those, like, just live this full life. Not that size really matters to anything, but I always think people that are, like, on that taller side, I know this is a crazy thing, or, I don't know why and where I got in my head where I was just like, the blood flow, it's got to go all the way up and all the way down. And it's one of those weird things, because my friend Tim is very tall, he's like 6'4" or something like that. And it's just one of those things where it's like, Tim, I worry. I don't know. I always think they're not going to live to be, in their 90s. And look at James. Look at you. Look what you did, James. Incredible. It's crazy. We're also coming off the same week that I believe Dick Van Dyke just became the oldest, maybe it was the oldest, I think he won an Emmy this week too, for a special, and he's 99? Is 99 this year? Or is he 100 this year? I believe he might turn, his birthday's in December. It's 90, I'm sorry. He was born in 25. Yeah, so he's 99 this year. Wild. Still got the sense of humor. Still got it going. Just getting to that part of life where it's all these the sort of legends, they come and they go, and these impacts they have on us. And I know there's somewhere out there where people are like, oh, don't, mourning the death of celebrities versus the death of loved ones versus these other things. I think it's this thing that sort of happens when, people that are definitely present in like movies more than anything, is that, whether they are this thing or not, they kind of become, a thing of comfort, like a stuffed animal or a blanket or like your favorite pillow or something like that, because it activates this part in your brain, this like nostalgia thing, of a time gone by, of a thing, and maybe it's good memories, maybe it's bad memories, whatever it is. And so it does feel like it's a loss of a thing that wasn't yours, but also was, because they're an artist, and when artists put their art out into the world, it belongs to everybody. And it's just this sort of weird thing, obviously I'm sure family and friends are sad for the loss and stuff, but it is one of those where you're like, it just, I don't know. It's this weird element that I feel like, I'm sure they'll study it more and more as years go on and things like that. I mean, film as a medium is still fairly new in the scope of the world. But, in terms of like consumption of movies and television shows, that's definitely something that, since Spielberg in the 70s, with the blockbusters and things like that. And it's one of those things, the consumption, and I don't want to be like what it does to us, but the effect it has on us, it is this other element where you're like, I'm sure it's being studied, but these like long-term effects of it, and I'm not saying it's damaging by any means. I actually think it's great. I think it's the same way where we listen to music and it brings us back to a specific time and place and love, and it's the same sort of an auditory thing, but also visual and this other thing. I'm lost in a thought here. Help me, save me. Help me, save me. Help me, save me. Help me, save me. All right, but speaking of sort of nostalgia, I saw Beetlejuice Beetlejuice this weekend. I saw it, or actually I guess it's been almost a week because I saw it last Wednesday. That's what I was doing on Wednesday night. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it is a great, like, I watched the first one. Now I'm watching the second one. I'd love a third one, please. It just, I don't really, it has a lot of storylines going on. But like it is one of those, it has such great specific type of humor. And I think the thing is, I don't necessarily think of Beetlejuice as like straight up comedy. I think it's a movie that has inherently funny stuff, and it's also more of whimsical comedy, as opposed to like slapstick or laugh out loud, and it's got some great parts, and obviously Michael Keaton is a tour de force as Beetlejuice. But it is one of those where, like, I feel like this movie very much has the spirit of the first Beetlejuice. It definitely felt a little more in line with the cartoon show, which is something that I really enjoyed too. So I feel like it kind of got a little bit of both, the best of both worlds. Hannah Montana, Daddy. But I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the best Tim Burton movies I have seen in a long time. Like, this is a return to form for him almost. I felt like it, and it had this very. There was a lot of these jokes where I'm like, that's really funny. Just like thinking it in my head, like what they're doing, and I was like, that's good. That's funny. That's like clever. I don't want to ruin plot details or anything like that too much, but it is definitely like. It is different in the best ways possible from the first one. If that makes sense? It's not like there's anything, I don't really have anything wrong with the first one at all. I just was like, oh, this is definitely in that spirit. It definitely has that humor. We got to see some characters that we hadn't seen, and we also got to see them hadn't seen, that we haven't seen in a while, and we got to see them at a different point in their life, and it was just like, I don't know. Literally, the like stinger happened and the credits came up, and I was just like, I want a third one. And I was just like, I enjoyed this one a lot, that it was just like, I felt like it was really quickly paced, and it was it was madcap. Would that make sense? I feel like maybe that's the word I want to use here. It was like a living cartoon, and it was, I don't know. There was like an aesthetic. That aesthetic was there, and it was also like, do I want to live in Vermont? I don't know if I can't remember if the town from Beetlejuice takes place in Vermont or not, but yeah. I really liked it. I thought it was nostalgic in a great way, where it wasn't the same plot of the original by any means, and it wasn't even like a ghost or a phantom plot of the original, you know what I mean? So like, I love The Force Awakens, but it's definitely sort of like a retelling of A New Hope in a different era, and I'm okay with that. The Force Awakens is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I'll say it. I don't care. But Beetlejuice, I felt like, doesn't do what The Force Awakens did. It just kind of is another story, but way later. And it just was nice it was really cool to sit in a movie theater and have that experience that I kind of always wondered what that was like for the original people who had sat in the movie theater not knowing anything about this movie and being like, oh, wow, that was weird. And that's what I got from this movie. Oh, wow, there were some choices made, and that was weird. And I don't know that everybody would be like, oh, I accepted all of it immediately and all this stuff. I mean, I really don't have a problem with this new one at all. But there is some stuff in there where I'm like, I wondered, like, oh, are there these people that are like diehard Beetlejuice fans that there is no satiating that appetite? Because it's like, I don't know how to put it. It's like a perfect sphere that you have in your mind, and no matter how many times you touch a ball or a thing, any balloon, anything, you're always going to be like, this isn't quite right. You know what I mean? Like, there's no satisfying that type of person. But I was great. I almost went to go see it again tonight. I mean, I guess good thing I didn't, because I could do this live stream instead. So I might go. I might take myself on a little date this week and go see it again. I don't know. Maybe Wednesday. Maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. Actually, maybe tomorrow night, because Wednesday is Artie's, my dog, King Arthur, Artie's 11th birthday, and he was born on September 11th, never forget, so that's his golden birthday. So I already got him a TOY. I don't want him to hear it. But he's got a big TOY with like one of those ones that's like this long, and it has like a bunch of the squeakers in it throughout. So I'm going to let him play with that. I'm going to pick him up a little puppy cupcake on Wednesday, or maybe tomorrow on my way back home from work. And just going to spend the day like with him here, working from home and hanging out with them. They told us on like Thursday, I want to say, it might have been Friday, I think it was Thursday, but basically there was a notice taped to all the doors, and it was like, we're repaving this entire complex, and all the cars have to be moved by 8 a.m. on Monday. And so I set like an alarm for 7:30 for this morning, and when my rocket started going crazy at 7:10, and they had already started, they were already ripping up the parking lot with the machine that comes through and rolls and crushes it, and I was like, so I was like, okay. So I got up, moved the cars, but the thing is, Rocket is afraid of trucks, like afraid of that noise that they make, and then also the general sound, and he's very nervous, and he's a rescue, and so it's been a challenge all day to walk him, and because of the weather too today, I know that they're not going to be finished in the 2-day time frame they said they were, and so my car is like parked on the street, like down the street. I really hope nobody hits it. But they were like, oh, you can park it by this dumpster. And I was like, I don't know. Somebody like stole a car over here once. So I'm very paranoid, but whatever. It's a nightmare. It's awful. It really sucks because I'm not the only one who has a dog in this neighborhood too. And it's just like, as much as I feel like a lot of the people that live in this neighborhood kind of suck, it's still one of those where I'm like, I still have empathy to being like, oh, like, how are they going to walk their dog? You know what I mean? Like, because you can't really walk the dog out there anywhere that there's pavement. And I'm like, it's very difficult to get these dogs anywhere because it's also ripped up down the road coming into the circle I'm in. And I was just like, that's fine. My world keeps shrinking, but whatever. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. My little babies, my little sweet baby angels. Yeah, Beetlejuice was great. Okay, so listen, I also I went through with the help of my friend Brandon, and I organized a storage unit I have, and I wanted to say that, and I'm going to do this on my personal Patreon, so there'll be a live stream I'm going to do there tomorrow or Wednesday. Maybe I'll do that a little bit Wednesday or something, or this weekend or something. Anyway, I am behind on stuff solely because it's just, for those of you who don't know, catch you up, I got a new position in my job, and it's been a little overwhelming because we've been shorthanded. I finally feel like I'm starting to get a little bit of a grasp on, like, okay, I've got videos, ready to go and edited, and these shows to produce, and so I finally feel like I've got, like, the studio's kind of in a place where I'm like, this is functional, people can just come in and sit, and it's not like I have to figure out cables and cords and stuff. I mean, I still have a little bit of that, but it's starting to feel like that sort of thing, when you're like, oh, I've dug through the rubble a little bit, and now I can finally be like, oh, okay, this is easier to just, like, do this thing. I've made my life easier. And so I feel like a part of that for me, too, was, like, everything kind of got cluttered and crazy in my storage unit where I keep all these stuff for, like, giveaways that I do. It was like, okay, I need to get in here. I need to organize everything. So I went in with, like, index cards, packaging tape, markers, everything. I went through every bin. I condensed. I moved stuff. I, like, separated stuff for, like, donate and things. Not quite where I want it to be just yet, but in a way where I was like, okay, I can come in here now and I can, like, bring the stool and I can, like, write down everything I need to do, and I can finally be like, okay, this pile is for donate, this pile is for giveaways, this pile is for eBays, stuff like that. So that's, it's one of those where I was like, okay, I feel good. I'm feeling better about that sort of a thing. So, yeah, if Brandon happens to watch this, thank you, Brandon. Very a big help. You've seen him in some of my live streams before. Yeah. So tomorrow for my show at work for the Diz Unlimited podcast, we are going to be talking about our experience at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which was basically rained out last night completely and entirely. And then the experience of trying to get those tickets switched to a different day and all that whole process. So we'll talk more about that. The weather was just absolutely awful. But hopefully we'll get a better day. We switched them to October 1st. If anyone's around, please say hey. I mean, I did meet some people who watch these videos too. When I went for the time I was there, standing in the rain. I feel like there's a song, not Singing in the Rain. Everyone goes to Singing in the Rain, but there was a song on the Daredevil soundtrack that was about being out in the rain. But yeah, so I'm getting there. I also have this really cool opportunity that I was invited to be a part of somewhere. I don't want to say, I know they said I could talk about it a little bit, but I don't want to say too much about it. But I am going to say I'm going to document the experience of going to where I'm going and doing what I'm doing, and it'll end up here on this channel. But it is a thing where I was like, what? I'm glad I checked my email when I did, because I was just like, I am kind of shocked about this entire experience that's happening. So I'll cue you in. You'll know more in just a couple of days. And I keep forgetting it's just, a couple of days. So this weekend, essentially. So, yeah, I am super, super excited. I think this is going to be really cool. I can tell you it is a volunteering opportunity. So I get to volunteer and help get back to some communities in need and stuff. And so that's really cool. So I'm very excited to be a part of this and to have been invited into this. And I know this is so vague, and I apologize, but yeah. So it's cool. It's very, very cool. Very excited for this. Yeah, had some therapy today. That was good too. It was a very good appointment. I feel like a lot of these tools are clicking in a little bit more and everything. And I feel like, honestly, the cleaning of the storage unit and starting, I mean, it's still a mess here, and the soft is barely functional right now, but it's one of those where it just kind of makes you feel like you got that grasp a little bit more in your life for a hot second. I do also have some fun creative projects. So obviously I'm going to still be working on these paintings. I have some time set aside that this weekend. I think I'm finally going to be able to get back to these. Can't wait. But I have some new type of an art project too that I found some things at the store that I was like, oh, I have this idea. I kind of want to do this. So we'll see how it goes. I got to do a test. I don't like saying exactly what it is, but obviously you'll see it on my Instagram stories and stuff like that. But just a cool idea. I want to do something with these little shadow boxes and stuff and figurines and things. So we'll see how they turn out, though. We'll see. And sometimes I have the idea in my head, and you can see it, but you can't execute it. And so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. How's everybody? How's everybody doing? How y'all doing? Oh my gosh, I cannot get one more pair of sneakers wet in Florida. I can't do it. It's that season where I was just like, oh my God, all the shoes I wear are wet. It's like, no, please. No, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you being here. Oh my God, Bjorn, you went to a drive-in? I am so jealous. I miss drive-ins, and I looked at that Medford one because I'm going home to Massachusetts in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, I think it's still operating that time, but it is like an hour away, and because I have to go to Maine for my cousin's wedding, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'll tell you, I have this dream of owning and operating in a smaller size town, or it doesn't have to be a town, in a community, where it's like a 2-screen movie theater, but the back of the building is 1-screen drive-in theater. So that way you can still use the snack bar on the inside-outside snack bar. But then that way you also have 3 movies you could have going. But I just love the idea of a drive-in and a classic movie theater. But I also want it to be a community-oriented theater. So I want it to be able to be something like kind of gives back and invests wherever it's built, where it's okay, we offer after school programs to teach kids about cinema, movies, movie making, give them a platform to be able to showcase what they're doing, in a different setting, or it doesn't even have to be kids, older. I love the idea too of having seniors classes or just regular community things that anybody can come to, because I feel like that's something that kind of disappears I feel like there'll be a lot of these programs for kids, and don't get me wrong, kids need these programs, but it's like a lot of those library programs that I'm always just like, I kind of wish was a little more, I want those things. I want to be able to, I guess I'm getting to the age where it's like, these things that meant a lot to me when I was a kid, I feel like I want to recontribute to them, right? And make a difference. I'm sorry I keep rubbing my nose. Because it's been so wet and so rainy, so much, like I am starting to have those, it's September. This happens to me every September. I get, it's like allergies, but not allergy. It's like a little bit, and I know people are like, oh, you sure it's not COVID? It's not COVID. It's not COVID. Girl, you know how I am about COVID and testing and booster shots and things like that. And I like to be careful and things, but it's just one of those where it's like, I've noticed it because it'll get to that like swampy season where it's just constantly raining and the ground is so wet. And I think it's like mold in the air and like all these things. And it's just like, ugh. It's gross. It's the literal embodiment of the wet squelching sound from Stranger Things. But yeah. Oh, flea market at a drive-in on the weekend. That sounds cool. Oh yeah, I do need a shoe dryer. That's a good point, Jennifer. That would be, actually, that would be a great investment. I need to put that on my Amazon wish list, I think. Bjorn said, I saw Twisters at the drive-in and someone had a replica pickup truck with a replica Dorothy on the back. That is really freaking cool. Okay, that's really, really cool. I saw The Conjuring at the drive-in that's in like Tampa. It's not Tampa, but it's like almost Tampa. It's good. I think it's called like Silver Moon or something like that. It's just one of those where it's like, it's all concrete. And the thing with like a Florida drive-in, I feel like, is that this time of year, it's just so humid. So it's hard to go to drive-ins where I feel like there's high humidity, because then everyone has to keep the car running. And I'm like, that's terrible for the environment, right? And sound-wise and things like that. But so it's like, I need to find a climate where it's a little drier. California, where are all your drive-ins? Well, California, I guess, does a lot of like rooftop movie, or at least LA does like rooftop movie viewings. And I know they do the graveyard ones, like the Hollywood graveyard, which I do feel super weird about. But I guess if you're showing the movies of the people who are buried there, it's sort of like, here was the thing that the legacy you left behind. Here's the powerful verse that you contributed to the play. I forget the Whitman quote. Is it Whitman? Oh me, oh my. I think the best commercial I've ever seen in my entire life. I know people will be like, the Apple commercial from 1984. And I'm like, no. The iPad commercial, and it has Robin Williams doing with the Dead Poet Society monologue that he does over it. And it's about like, why do we create art? Like, why do we create poetry? Why do we create all these things? And it's like, science, medicine, engineering, these are noble pursuits, but it's like art is the human experience or something. I can't, I'm just paraphrasing, but I just love it. It makes me so emotional. It gives me goosebumps, especially now that he's passed too. Your rescue. Shiva's asking about a move back to Massachusetts. That was actually a topic of discussion this evening. I have been texting with a friend, and I was like, what if I move back to Massachusetts? I think it's kind of, for me right now, is like kind of nailing down an area I'd like to be in, because I don't think I want to necessarily move. I don't want to move back into my hometown. Not that there's anything wrong with that hometown, but I do think I want to find like a happy medium between the city and the hometown. Like, I still really want the town I grew up in. Like, I grew up in the woods, and it's like, there was 5 houses right around me and then no one for miles. And it's like, I don't want that. The thing I want is, on Halloween, the streets are riddled with trick-or-treaters. I want that. But I want the New England weather, the New England sensibility about it all, and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I've just been thinking about it, where I just like, I gotta find that sort of sense of community there. It's hard, because now I have a really good friend who's moving here, and then like work goes a certain way, but man, this weather right now, it ain't it. And I am not in love with the politics of the state. I am not in love with the weather of the state. There's a lot where it's like, I think about, but then I'm like, okay, well, should I still try and get something here as like an investment and then just go rent in Massachusetts so I can just go home for a little while? I don't know. Do a back and forth thing? I don't know. Oh. See the Turpin famine here. I see you. I'll hire you 20 minutes from Boston. Possible housing. Say more. Or say less, I think. Isn't that the phrase? But, oh, Burlington Jack could get the coat factory business going. Yeah, that's, my friend was like, oh, come to Saugus, and I'm like, okay. And Emily Stein in here is saying we live in NYC and Orlando. See, that's what I think. I think I'd like to do that. And I feel like, I know people are like, oh, that's unrealistic. And that's, once you're older and the investment in the thing. And I was like, I don't know. Is it unrealistic? Like if you have a job that you could work remotely at or, freelance and do stuff or something like that. I mean, why can't you? It's basically saying that you have to have the wiggle room for at least one more rental a month, which is a big ask. But if you can get there, that's like kind of enough, right? Like I know it's not really enough, and that's small-minded thinking and dangerous, but it is sort of one of those where I was like, I'd like to explore the idea. Or it's you do a thing like how my aunt bought a place up in the Villages, so get ready for some Villages content. And I always think they got a nice size house. I was like, that's what it needs to be. Somebody has the house here, somebody has the house here, and you kind of just keep going back and forth. And I'm not saying you live together necessarily, but it's like you need like that shared space. It's like duplexes. I wish those were sold as individual houses, which is wild to me that things with the same roof aren't, but I guess condos aren't. Yeah, I think about that where it's like, okay, everybody needs to have the property where it's like, oh, I'm going to go for 6 months up here. Like I'm going to go up there in the summer, I want to go up in the winter. I want the cold weather. So, but yeah, I've just been thinking about it. It's not a guarantee. I don't know where life's going to take me to. You know what I mean? I did see a question in here about doing a meetup when I'm in Massachusetts. I don't think I can on this trip because I think it's literally like I fly in. The next day we have to do like a 5-hour drive to get to this wedding. The wedding, there's like a thing on Friday, a thing on Saturday, and then a 5-hour drive back, and then I leave on Monday. So I don't think there's really going to be time for that on this trip. Maybe when I come up for Christmas, if there's a little bit of time, that would be fun. Because I did one in Milwaukee in like January, and that was cool. That was a lot of fun. I've done them in Massachusetts before. So I don't know. If I knew a little bit more about where we were going in Maine and stuff, I'd be like, okay, let's do this here. So I don't know. Yeah, see, the lottery. We got to win the lottery. So, there are those days, though, sometimes where you're like, I'm so lucky right now. And you're in this moment, you're like, should I play it? Like, something happened the other day. Well, I should have played it on the day on D23 because, Craig was on my flight. We didn't communicate this at all. There was no pre-communication. So it wasn't like I booked based on him or he booked based on me. We had no idea. Same flight, not just the same flight, same aisle. Not that just same aisle, same side of the aisle. He was the window, I was the aisle. Crazy. So it was one of those where I'm like, I should have played the lottery this day. Yes. I had told myself I wanted to finish out one more Halloween season here in Orlando. And I feel like there's been some signifiers from the universe that are like, okay, girl, you got to start moving. You got to start putting into motion some of these dreams a little bit. Because like this year it was like, for work, we didn't get a media invitation to Halloween Horror Nights. And that's okay. I went and, you know what? I'm big right now on trying to say like these sort of these things that sort of maybe present themselves as like a negative, they're an opportunity, to reframe, and look at things a little bit different. So I was like, okay. I mean, the sad part being not being able to record in the house, so I'm gonna I'll have incomplete of the years I've gone, and that's that's that. So, but being able to go with Hannah for her first time and everybody, and it just being in there and experiencing it as a guest and seeing what that thing was, it was like a new perspective to have with it. And so it's like sort of, I like that sort of a thing where it's like, okay, I love that. I felt like reframing that, I was actually like, oh, this was a little more like an actual experience and what the night, and so, and so I don't know, sort of a thing like that. And so I like showcasing stuff like that. I don't know. Somebody left a comment on one of the videos recently and was just like, they called it wasted nonsense. I think they deleted the comment, but I'll never not forget it. But they basically were like, I don't like this. I wish this had been a more traditional vlog. I don't enjoy the reality show angle. It's just a bunch of wasted nonsense or something like that. And I was like, this is actually a really nice compliment, because they basically were like, you just created an hour of reality television, and that's a hard thing to do. So I was like, I think that's harder to do than a vlog. And so the person, maybe if they didn't even mean to insult, I was still like, that insult was actually an incredible compliment. We're talking about reframing, relensing, and I'm like, all right. And I felt like the Halloween Horror Nights thing was sort of that. It was a little more like in the moment, and I'm taking you along, and I want you to feel like you're there. And I want that on this channel too. And I know there's the Don't Leave Us, Ryno. I'm not going to go anywhere. I promise you. This internet thing's probably around for a while. I know the consistency of doing the live streams on Monday will ebb and flow, but I promise you, I am still going to work on this channel. I'm still going to do this. If anything, I'd like this channel to start growing. I'd like to start doing more of this channel. I want to take you on dinner dates. I want to take you out on the town. I think for me, it's just, and therapy is definitely helping, realizing I am my own worst enemy. And sometimes it is like, you can still, sometimes the quality will not be the perfect thing you want, but the content, the actual, and I don't mean the disposable word content, I mean the actual word content, the way it should be used, that the content of the media is better than, is more engaging than the perfection of it, if that makes sense. So it's just sort of a thing. I don't know. It's sort of it's one of those where I'm like, I need to start being like, okay, but was it good? It might not be the most perfect thing, but it might be better than perfect. It's better than good. It's good enough. No, it was Melrose, Massachusetts. Okay, I was like watching Beetlejuice, and I was like, this looks like this is definitely a little bit of Massachusetts. I see a question here. Do you think Lil Boo is getting overplayed at Universal? Is King Gator a good enough Mardi Gras mascot? Do you have a favorite park character? Okay, loaded questions. I do think Lil Boo, I think like this year, I think they need to like pump the brakes on it a little bit for next year. I love that there is the mascot for Halloween Horror Nights now, and I hope there will always be the Lil Boo line. But it is one of those where it's like, don't overdo it, because then you're going to shoot yourself in the foot and you'll overproduce and it won't sell as much. But man, I love that little pumpkin. I got the popcorn bucket, and it glows and it has a little projector on it and everything. I love the King Gator as the mascot. I like the version that we got that Andrew Stonecipher did for Universal Creative when he worked there. That was just the popcorn bucket that we just had this last year. I love that cartoony, chibli, sort of chunky, cherub-looking King Gator, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I think what's cool is they have the Gator for Mardi Gras, the pumpkin, like the little Boo for that, and now it's like, I know we have Grinch for Christmas, but I feel like we've got Earl the Squirrel for Christmas, right? So we're kind of getting these other things, which is a lot of fun. I love that. I love that journey. And then, do I have a favorite in-park character? Oh, God, I do love that friggin' squirrel. He is so cute in his sweater. I'd say the squirrel. At Universal specifically, I would say the squirrel. But yeah. Okay, so I do have to like cut this a little short. I know I wasn't going to do a really long one tonight, and I appreciate people doing it here, and I am going to try to do another one, and if you are a Patreon supporter, there'll definitely be one by the end of the week, by like Sunday night. So please tune into that, and I will make a better habit of doing that. But Ali the Animator, I feel like your assessment of that Horror Nights video is correct. The Horror Nights video definitely gave me the feeling that it was a chaotic night in a realistic way. And that was true. And it's kind of like, it feels like that. If it was a slow night, you'd get that vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've never done Instagram Lives. I really should be starting to look into that as well. So, Olivia, I'm going to answer your question really quick before I go here. I didn't want to leave you hanging. They said the number one change you'd make to this year's Halloween Horror Nights. I think that the scare zones aren't the best. I think there's like three. There's two that are definitely very weak. One that is shouldn't even be called a scare zone, and the other one that's just like, I don't know. So I think for me, that change would be like, I felt like last year's event when they had Dr. Oddfellow around, I thought that whole thing gave a really great vibe of the entryway and when you first enter this park and everything. And so I feel like that's missing this year. So if I could change one thing about this year, I would say that the actual entrance for Halloween Horror Nights, like up there, I think that area could use a little bit more oomph, a little bit more decoration, a little bit more. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Halloween Horror Nights. Like scaffolding, I love that the icons come out and talk up there now, and stuff. I love that, but I miss the days where we had that main strip going back toward Hollywood, Rip Ride Rocket, where you could, they'd have scare zones. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It's kind of like what they did with the Blumhouse, and they did it for an anniversary year. Just stages with characters on it and stuff. And that's, the thing. But it might be because of the parade that it's a little less. It might be, it could also be just like money because of Epic Universe. I think there's something to do with the two Minions things. Like Illumination doesn't want Halloween stuff there. I don't know, right in the middle there. But I think that's kind of really the one big change. Also, I'm sorry, I lied. I'd add more food booths. I feel like the food so far, what I've had, which is not much, I like the Ghostbuster thing. I've gotten it like 3 times now that you saw in the Halloween Horror Nights video. I would consider more drink booths, more at least beer. It doesn't have to be liquor. I just think, and more food booths. That would be a big one. And a lagoon show. I lied. The number one change I would do for Halloween Horror Nights, a lagoon show. I think that would have massively impacted this event. I think that needs to come back, and I don't know why they don't have one yet. So that was more theme park talk than I usually do on here, but I hope everybody is doing well. I'm sorry that this one's a little shorter than normal, but I do have a couple of things to do for work still. I want to see debate base, and because I have a long day tomorrow, and I got to catch up on Only Murders in the Building. I didn't see last week's episode. And there was another show, English Teacher. If you haven't watched the show English Teacher on FX, it's on FX, but it's also, like, if you have Hulu, it's on there. It's weekly. 2 episodes are out. I thought the first episode was okay. I thought the second episode was really funny. So I think it's going to be pretty good. If you watch the last, the not reimagining, but the continuation of Will and Grace, the main character, the guy who created the show, is Jack's husband, Estefan, from Will and Grace. So I like him. I think he's funny. He was also in the show Special on Netflix, and he was pretty great on that. So I'm hoping it does well. It's pretty funny. And Only Murders, obviously, great show. If you haven't checked that out, really watch it. But yeah, I am really happy that you were all able to join here. I am so sorry that you didn't get the notifications, some of you. I do have to watch Chaos. You are correct. That is saved in my list. And like I said, if you're a Patreon supporter, I'm going to be doing one of these one of the week and updating you on the chaos that happened with my giveaways and stuff. And I'll probably pop in and do another one of these. Hopefully. I'm glad I got to do this one, though. Glad I got to be here and hang out with all of you. I'm glad to have met some of you in person, too, as well. I know there's a lot of you. I met some mother and daughter who were like, we watch, but we're never in the comment section. I just want to say it was great. Thank you so much for those incredibly kind words. I know sometimes I'm an awkward human being, but you really do touch my heart when you do that. And I try to lead by your example. I've been going around to friends or people I follow. Anytime I see somebody I follow on social media, I will go up, and kind of be like, hey, I just want you to know that this content means something in the world, that you are making someone's day better. I know even if it's not just me, or if it is just me, I'm like, I see what you're doing for community, and it is an incredible thing, and keep up the good work. It's one of those things, and I just like, go on. And I think it's great. So maybe that's our task this week, is that we kind of pass that on to somebody else, say, hey, nice outfit. Hey, I see you. I acknowledge you. I think especially during this like Halloween season, it's a great time because I feel like this is a great area for anybody that wants to experiment with like new looks, leaning into new vibes, leaning all that stuff. It's great. And, you know, maybe encourage some people. I'm encouraging you. Maybe you do out there. Dye your hair, you know, get out there, you know, have a fun costume. Start thinking about that now, kids. It's September. All right. Those parties are going to start coming. The trick-or-treaters are going to start knocking soon. We got to get this together. But I'm so happy, this sense of community that comes from this. The messages I get that are like, are you going live tonight? I think is always so funny. So I appreciate those. I appreciate all of you. Before you go, if you want a thumbs up, that would be great. You know, obviously, ideas, video ideas, conversation topics, things like that, leave them in the comments. Yeah, come on by. Let me know. All that sort of stuff, you know. It's all of us. We're all in it here. So I'm going to go. That's it. I'm rambling now. So I hope you all have a great week. I hope you're off to a good start. And thank you for coming by and checking in. I'm glad we could do this. Forgot to hit the button.